Terry Palmer, a volunteer from Pennsylvania, had not taken kindly to the war. Not so long ago, he was writing articles for a local newspaper, never imagining himself as a soldier. But the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in November 1941 made him change his mind. Germany was at the peak of its military power. Having captured Tobruk, Rommel's Afrika Korps advanced to Alexandria, chasing the retreating British troops. On the Eastern Front, German forces were fighting hard to advance to the Volga, Caucasus and Crimea. The American government had a difficult decision to make. Stalin demanded an immediate opening of the Second Front in Europe, while Great Britain wanted an invasion of North Africa. Landing in France seemed unreasonable, while the second option enabled the Allies to strengthen their positions in the Mediterranean Sea and create a beachhead for the invasion in southern Europe. The plan was to land over 100,000 British and American soldiers on the continent in 3 locations at once: Algeria, Oran, and Casablanca. The Allies were counting on the help of anti-fascist groups. The latter agreed to arrange a military coup the night before landing, during which the French resistance was to secure key locations, including the arsenal, the governor's house, and telephone exchange. A group of men was formed to help the resistance and coordinate their actions with the Allies' plans. Palmer's gift for languages and natural curiosity, which had helped him advance his journalist career, made him volunteer.
Private Palmer,
Yes, sir.
are you a journalist?
Yes, sir.
Then try to survive. I'd like to read about myself in your paper. Welcome to Africa, Terry.
Be quiet, will you? We need to find our contact. Excellent. We're nearly in position. The arsenals are right beyond that block, and near them is an old tower, where Dastier's man will be watching the situation. He will tell us what's going on in the area, and will wait for our signal to our French friends. When we have all the information we need, we'll proceed to the most difficult part of the mission: infiltrating the target territory and eliminating the guards. When that's done, we'll raise our flag on the flagpole in the middle, thus sending a signal for action. What follows is simple. The French drive the car up. We pack it up with weapons and ammo. We get in, and then we drive as far from here as possible. If you have no questions, please get to work.
By the beginning of Operation Torch, the Algiers garrison comprised over 11,000 soldiers and officers. Supported by air forces, navy, and artillery, such an army could turn the landing of the Allies into a massacre. However, it seemed from information obtained from the American consul that French troops were unlikely to join the fight without a special order from Admiral Darlan, who was in charge of defense. In that situation, only diplomacy could prevent huge casualties on both sides. The Americans were willing to allow the admiral to continue commanding the French army in North Africa if he agreed to sign an order to surrender the town and to a ceasefire. But none of this had any guarantees. The military could not entrust diplomats alone with the fate of the entire operation. According to their instructions, after capturing the arsenal, Terry Palmer's squad, along with a group of resistance fighters led by Henri Dastier, was to infiltrate Darlan's residence, capture the French admiral, and provide a successful outcome to negotiations.
Okay. According to our information, Darlan recently arrived in town and is here now. Let me remind you once again about the objective of this mission. We must capture the Admiral and make him sign a ceasefire agreement to ensure complete success in the subsequent campaign. We will act as follows. Hiding the truck from prying eyes, we will penetrate inside without making noise. Be very careful, because most of the area is lit by lamps and projectors and is full of guards. There are 3 exits from here, and we must block them all in case Darlan makes an attempt to escape. Remember, we must take him alive at all costs. Otherwise, our plan is not worth a dime. The American consul is expected here soon, so we should get rid of the guards before he arrives. Talks will be held in the central building because the phone communication that the Admiral needs to give his troops an order to surrender is only available there. God knows how long it may take till they agree, but I bet my life the garrison of Algiers won't be idle in the meantime. Either the French will be trying to liberate their commander, or the Germans will be doing all they can to wreck the signing of the peace treaty. In any case, we must organize the defense of the residents' property and pray that everything ends well for us.
Having become aware of Darlan's collaboration with the Allies, Hitler ordered the occupation of lands under Vichy control, and over the next few days, German vehicle units occupied southern France. However, thanks to the actions of anti-fascist organizations in Algiers, the goals of Operation Torch were achieved with hardly any bloodshed. Now they needed to make a swift breakthrough to Tunisia and attack the rear of the Afrika Korps, who were retreating after the Battle of El Alamein. However, the confusion of the first days of the landing prevented the Allies from setting out as planned, and it took a further 2 weeks to gather their forces and prepare the army for assault. During this time, the number of German forces in Tunisia tripled, shattering Eisenhower's dream of a quick victory. By mid-November, the American troops were finally on their way. Terry Palmer was not happy to leave his new French comrades and their stories of faraway beautiful France for the harsh soldier's duty which was to follow. Within a few days, his light tank battalion was ordered to recon the bridges over the river Medjeda, but no one could imagine that the battalion would stumble upon a new airfield built by the Germans for the Luftwaffe.
Listen to me, soldiers. These planes are a serious threat to the Allies, which is why I took the decision not to wait until the army arrives, but to destroy the airstrip now. There are just a few of us here, but we can succeed with a swift, surprise attack. A small group, under the cover of the sandstorm, will destroy enemy firing posts in the settlement, and then the remaining company will enter. This area will serve as a bridgehead for us to make a further offensive. Next, if enemy planes get off the ground, consider yourselves dead. We must prevent them from doing so. Several of you will sneak up to the airstrip to prevent them from taking off, one way or another. I don't think you will manage to destroy the machines, but it's easier to find the pilots and bump them off. If possible, it would be good to render the German gunnery useless, and to eliminate the commander of the outpost troops. That will make subsequent attacks a lot easier. We need to get going straight away before the storm abates. So get on board, guys, and may God help us.
At Christmas, the rainy season started in Tunisia. Terry Palmer cursed the day he had exchanged his cozy home in Pennsylvania for this cold, muddy place. He had wanted new experiences, but his company was wading through roads streaming with mud. The entire area had turned into a swamp, and there was no way to advance at speed. This situation played into enemy hands. The Germans had time to redeploy numerous troops and the newest weaponry from Italy. General von Arnim replaced Nering as commander-in-chief and immediately started reinforcing the Tunisian defences. This meant that by February 1943 the Axis position had strengthened and their forces numbered 100,000 men, allowing them to take retaliatory measures against the Allies. On the 14th of February, Rommel's armoured division launched a counter-offensive. Overnight, it gained the enemy rear at Sidi Bou Sid, with the result that 2 Allied armoured divisions were annihilated and only a few squads managed to remain unsurrounded. Exploiting their success, the Germans continued the swift assault with the aim of preventing retreating American troops from stopping and establishing defences.
There is no time for idle chat. Let's get down to business. Rommel's army is continuing to advance deep into our territory. However, I am particularly concerned about the tank division, which is moving towards Spiba now, as we have a supply base there with fuel, weapons, and ammunition. The problem is that our command has pulled all reserves up to the Kasserine Pass, and the base is now guarded by only a few dozen people who are not expecting this attack. The messenger is already on his way, but I fear he won't get there until it's too late. You need to understand that if the Germans capture fuel and ammunition, they'll have enough resources to get behind us and then cut off the base lines and encircle the Allies near Kasserine. That will amount to total failure. Our only chance to save the situation is to get there by the shortest possible route through positions captured by the enemy. Recently, a pilot model of a Dodge vehicle with reinforced armor and the newest armaments was delivered to Africa for trials, so you will have to test its possibilities in combat. Your group must reach Spiba before the Germans do, organize defenses on the base, and wait there until our main forces arrive. In short, take your men and set off immediately.
Let's stop here. We need to cool down the engine and replenish ammo. Cover me, guys.
Rommel's army was rushing forward. Along with a successful armoured operation at Sabaitla, another combat team carried out a strong flanking attack at Gafsa, forcing the Americans from the town. Over the next few days they advanced another 80 kilometres, capturing airfields in Thalepte and creating a real threat to enemy supply lines. Without slowing down, the German forces headed northwest, trying to exploit their success and reach the strategically important Kasserine Pass and Sabiba Gap. Confusion and near panic reigned in the Allied camp. Creating a defence plan was out of the question, and during the disorderly retreat, the French, British and American troops suffered heavy casualties. Having miraculously broken through the enemy-occupied town, Terry Palmer's squad headed to Sabiba, where the 6th Armoured Division was holding the fort. Only by night, having outrun the advancing German troops, did they manage to reach the Sabiba Gap and warn the Americans of the approaching threat.
Okay, guys. We need to organize defenses at this site as quickly as possible. The Americans are on their way to rescue us, but until they arrive, we can rely only on ourselves. We don't have many men, but grenades, explosives, and other stuff are plentiful at the warehouses. Besides, we have at our disposal some equipment and gunnery, including some new samples. So at least we won't be meeting Rommel empty-handed. Mine all possible access roads. Prepare firing positions, check your weapons once again, and pray to the gods you know for reinforcements to make it here on time. I want you to know that the fate of the entire African campaign may depend on us now. That's why we have no moral right to lose this battle, no matter how strong the enemy may be. Take your positions, guys, and may God bless you.
They're still holding out.